So this is how I would build Xira the Golden Sting, okay? I think generally it's a lower power value engine creature that you probably want to build like a budget deck around. So here's some just general good insects. Things like Hornet Queen, Ant Queen, Hornet Nest. Grist is really good in this deck because if you play a high number of insects, like there are other insects also that they're kind of mediocre, but I would play them just to fit the theme because I think the theme is the most important part is insect tribal kind of thing. So Grist is like an excellent card in that because you just keep getting insects that you can sack for value, right? And so these are the things you can use to sack insects. Notably, one of them is an insect. Skull Clamp is a great way to get double value because you equip it to something that already has an egg counter on it, sack it, draw 2 cards, get another one, attach it, draw more cards, right? Attrition can be used as a removal spell to cash in your egged creatures or just your insects that you're playing. Plumb the Forbidden, Deadly Dispute. These are things that you can do at instant speed to get value out of your creatures in response to removal spells or just generally just do it on your own time, right? And High Market is a good way to gain life. Granted, it is a land, so it's typically once per turn. I don't think putting untapped things in here or extra lands and things like that is really where you want to be. Astronaut's Altar, I think it's great. Lets you cast more insects just off the insects that you're sacking. I think that's a good strategy for sure. Now these are insects I don't recommend, right? These are infect insects. There are a couple of these. Notably, the Stinger is a flying infect creature. These are gonna lead to like real feels bad times, right? And then Hex Parasite, it kills planeswalkers, right? Now, if you're in a situation where killing planeswalkers is the kind of thing that like you want to do a lot because someone's playing a lot of oppressive planeswalkers, sure, include this, but if you're just gonna throw it in there because it's a 1 mana insect and sometimes you're just gonna get somebody that is playing a planeswalker, it could make them feel kind of bad. Planeswalkers are already pretty bad in Commander. It's kind of up to you, right? Especially because you can do this at instant speed. But just having an instant speed removal spell for any planeswalker on the battlefield that you don't even have to pay mana into, like you do, but you don't, right? Um, these are ways to get value on the creatures that are on the board, play more creatures, recur the creatures, and notably the Ozolith here. It will just put the egg counters onto the Ozolith, I believe, right? Because it has a counter, it dies, it goes on the Ozolith, right? I think that's super good value. The Xanid Swarm, I think, is really good because it protects your things from removal spells at instant speed. And your commander has haste, so you're going to want to cast it, attack, right? So I think the Swarm is a good thing to have laying around. And this is the package I like to call how to rebuild, right? Because we're sacrificing all of our creatures for value. Now, granted, a lot of them are tokens, so they don't really matter. But if we're running the Insect Tribal, I think things like Grave Purge and Foot Bottom Feast are really good to just like load our deck back up with creatures that we can draw into and cast again. Now, the budget-friendly version of the Mass Reanimate spell is Haunting Voyage, and it's a tribal spell, right? So you foretell it. It's a little expensive on the mana, but it is a cheaper card, and I definitely recommend picking this up because it is a mythic. Okay, these cards can get pretty expensive, so snatch this up while you can. Now, if your budget be damned, right? These are awesome cards. Yawgmoth, just turn them into removal spells. Massacre, I mean, you just kill other players. Toxic Deluge is great. All your insects are puny. They don't care. You just pay a life into Toxic Deluge, wipe your whole board for value, right? Doubling Season is obvious. It just doubles. Okay, editor Stefan again. My mic cut out here, and so like just a bunch of audio was missing. But basically, I explained the Doubling Season is great, and then I move on to the next card. But that's missing, so I'm gonna include this here so it's not, startling. So continue. Saying that it's on. Oh, okay, there we go. Back. I'll have to edit this out. Um, and Patriarch's bidding is, I believe it's like $20 or somewhere around there. It is the less budget friendly, but way cheaper mana, right? It just does it, you know. These are effects you don't want, right? Single target reanimate spells are not what you want in this deck at all. You don't want to spend 2 mana to animate back a little insect that's not gonna really get you that much value, or spending life and a card to reanimate a single insect. I just don't think these are generally very good. You don't put your commander in the graveyard, so that's like your best insect. Yeah, I would avoid these. Now, an option you could go down, I don't recommend, is like a Protean Hulk, Birthing Pod, Walking Ballista combo strategy. I don't think the commander is perfect for that. I think that Jund isn't really a good shell color-wise to pull off these combos consistently, but you can, right? So the deck generally just has a lot of sacrifice utility. So if you just have Phyrexian Altar or Ashnod's Altar, Walking Ballista, Mikaeus, infinite damage. So, and you can just get that off Protean Hulk, right? That is an option, right? You just natural order into Protean Hulk, sack it, get the combo, win. That is an option, right? I think it's not great. I think it's not strong enough for CDH, and I think you're gonna pub stomp people, and people are gonna be just kind of generally mad. I do think Riveteer's Ascendancy and Birthing Pod are something you can play in a lower power shell, because you're just going from 2 mana dorky insect to 3 mana dorky insect, and then get back a 1 mana insect, right? I don't think you're like overwhelming at that point. But yeah, so this is the deck that I recommend for Xira, the Golden Sting. I'm going to be building this and playing it on stream next week. And one more thing. I will have the deck list that I finalize in the description. And so if you want to check out what I picked to play, I will probably play the higher power level because budget's not a concern in my deck building. So it's going to be that, but I showed you the budget options that I think are still good. So if you're looking for that, it's going to be there. I may build 2 lists, I'm not sure. We'll see. But yeah, thanks.